What is good, everybody? Today we're back with a brand new WWE Ultimate Edition review on the Ultimate Edition Series 25 Great Muta figure. Now, this is a figure that I think has a ton of potential. I think that this is a passion project for the Mattel design team. I think that they were really excited to work on this figure, and I think it's going to play out in the figure itself. Now, we won't know that unless we crack the figure out of the packaging, but if you guys are interested in this, you can go over to Ringside Collectibles and pick it up. I don't know if it's in stock or not, but you can use code MD Toys to save yourselves 10% over there on no matter what you purchase. But WWE Ultimate Edition Series 25 has been very impressive. The Rock was great. The Final Boss. Damian Priest was really impressive. I had a ton of fun shooting both of those figures, and I expect nothing less than the Great Muta here today as we dive in here. But really cool, iconic red face paint and mist and pants going on. This guy looks like $1 million bucks. I mean, he looks really good, man. I'm excited for it. They got even the chest detail here with the stomach hair and chest hair. Really wish we could see that across the board with all the figures because I think it's such an underrated detail. I talk about it all the time, but spin it to the side, you got Great Muta right there. On the back, we got Great Muta. We got Great Muta down here, and we have a little bio read. If you want to read it, you can pause it now. Great Muta on the side, and that is everything here, man. But I think this figure looks pretty fantastic. I'm excited to dive into it with you, find out what it's all about, and will this be a top 10 Ultimate Edition at the end of the year? We'll have to find out, man. I think it has a lot of great potential, but we won't know until we crack it out. So with that being said, let's crack the Great Muta out of the packaging and find out what the Great Muta is all about, and if is he great? Is he great? Let's find out. So here is the Great Muta out of the packaging, and I'm enjoying this figure a lot, man. You could tell a lot of love went into the creation of this figure, which we enjoy, man, but what we're going to do is dive into the accessories that you get with Great Muta, and I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm just some connoisseur of the Great Muta, but I know a little bit about the character and everything like that, and I think he is deserving of an action figure. It's actually crazy that he has an Ultimate right now, and we're getting a lot of his figures this year. You get a Chase Ultimate, you have him coming in the Legends line. I think he even has a Legends Chase, and I'm sure we're not done. I bet we'll get some more as the year goes on, probably announced, but they're going to get the most that they possibly can out of this character, and I'm here for it. I think he's very toyetic. I think it's awesome, and I hope that all the figures deliver in their own way, but what we're going to do is dive into the accessories that you get with Great Muta, and then we'll run it back and take a closer look at the Great Muta himself. So here we're looking at the Great Muta's accessories that you get with the Ultimate Edition, and we're starting things off with the blank expression here with the red face paint. I think it looks really, really good. Very clean paint apps too. I don't notice any bleeding or anything like that to my knowledge. Very clean here. This is a very young Great Muta as well, but it looks really clean. I like the hair sculpt and everything like that, and I love this blank expression. I think it came out really great that way. We also have the tongue out head sculpt right here. It's one of two things. I do believe it is a tongue out expression, but it kind of looks like he's biting his lip a little bit, but I think it is the tongue out. One head sculpt I would have really liked to see is a tongue out with the green tongue, you know what I mean? Like he's sticking his tongue out, like yelling or something like that, and the tongue is green from the mist. I think that would have been really cool, but maybe they couldn't make that happen, but also looks really good here as well. I think the likeness and just the transition from both head sculpts looks like the same person. And then we have the misting head sculpt or the pissed off head sculpt. So you could use this as a yelling head sculpt, or you could use it as the misting head sculpt. So you can take this mist effect right here and plug it into the mouth, and it looks like he is blowing mist out right there. Really want to see this for Triple H. I guess technically you could probably sticky tack this into Triple H and make it look like it's, you know, water coming out, but I hope they give us an Ultimate Triple H with that. But it's like this little skinny piece, and it just pours into the mouth. It doesn't hug as nice as I'd like. You know, I've tried flipping it over and trying different ways of doing this, and neither way seems to be better than the other. It's just kind of whatever you prefer, I guess. But it will stay in there. You know, it's not falling out or whatever, but it's not like it's snug or anything like that, if that makes sense. But I also like this a lot. This effect is very, very cool, but again, would have liked to seen a green tongue head sculpt. I think that would be really cool. I'm sure we'll probably get that at some point, if not already announced to us, you know what I mean? So, I also forgot that we're getting the Monday Night Wars Elite and Chase, and I can't remember what the head sculpts look like on those. I do believe it's an NWO version, but it would be cool to have a green tongue again. And then we have the red and black gi with the symbols on there that also looks pretty good here. And one thing I love about this is not only is it Velcroed on the belt, that is what I love the most. So on the front here on the belt, they didn't give you a loose belt. They give you a belt that wraps around, and then they put Velcro on the front. So then you can just Velcro the belt shut, and you keep that knot on the front. You guys know that when they give it to us and it's a long string, once you untie it out of the packaging, it's like you're never ever getting that thing back the way it was straight out of the packaging. So with this, now you can kind of customize where you want the knot. You could have the knot over here, you could have the knot all the way on the side. So I think that was really clever, and again, you can open that up. It's got the red cuffs on there and sleeves. Very nice deal right there, man, and it's very high quality, so I always love good cloth goods. One more thing we have here is the helmet accessory. Now, this is where we can test the different head sculpts onto the body. So I want to take the blank expression right here, and I want to put that on the head sculpt, and you guys can see it sits pretty well on there. And then then you have this helmet that can slide on right there, and you can see the eyes kind of poking through right there. What makes this difficult is when you sculpt something like this, like a helmet, a mask, a hat, things like that. Not as bad with a hat, I'll say, but usually when you do helmets or things that are going to cover the head sculpt like this, like the cane mask we've seen in the past, unless you do a completely new sculpted head sculpt with this helmet already on it, it's probably going to be too big because the inside of it has to fit your head sculpts all the way inside of it, plus some room. So you know what I mean? So you have to, it's oversized. I don't really care for the helmet that much, the face covering. It looks cool, and it's, you know, I think it'd be cooler if he was just holding it or had it on display, you know, in like a, you know, some sort of office or something like that, but it's not bad or anything. I like the sculpts of it and things, but that is the way the straight face sits on the head sculpt. And then we also want to take a look at the other ones. Here's the misting head sculpt, which also fits well on there, pretty snug as well. And then the last but not least, we have the sticking the tongue out head sculpt, which I think also looks pretty good on there. So I'm not getting any giraffe necks. All of it sits pretty naturally on the figure, so that's always good to see. And then for interchangeable hands, we get a pair of mic holding or weapon wielding style hands, and on the right hand, they actually sculpted the tape onto the finger. We saw that with Solo Sokoa's Ultimate Edition, so maybe we'll start to see that implemented more and more, and then maybe it'll venture out into the Elite line as well, and the wrist tape and things like that. But this is our mic holding hands. We also get these hands, and this is like signature hands. They remind me a lot of kind of, you know, DBZ when they're about to fight each other, you know, like Goku and Vegeta, you know, they usually have like their hands pre-posed. That's what these remind me of, and I think that this one also kind of looks like a trigger finger a little bit there, and I don't know exactly what these, you know, what these mean or what they were used for necessarily, but I still think that they look really good, and they look natural, you know what I mean? And I think that's one of the biggest pluses. But then we also get a left throne sitting style hand that we've seen before, and then we get the two fingers here with the tape on there. So this is a brand new sculpted hand. You have the, you know, the tape sculpted onto the fingers themselves, and then I'm pretty sure all three of these hands right here, actually four, you're getting four unique sculpted hands just on this figure alone. So they pulled out all the stops and wanted this detail. I'm sure there's a specific pose probably that they wanted to implement, and I think that, you know, having the taped fingers on there is a really nice detail for these. So here's the Great Muta starting out the head sculpt, which we already took a look at. Again, I think it looks really, really good and clean. No splotchiness or anything, at least to my knowledge. Maybe something's incorrect, but I think it all looks good. I also like this torso choice for Muta, and I love the inclusion of the chest and stomach hair, man. Can we get this on Seth Rollins? Can we get this on Shawn Michaels? Can we get this on AJ Styles? All of these guys need the chest and stomach hair. Honestly, I'm trying to think about it. I don't even care if they, like, let's say a guy majority of the time wears chest hair. You know what I mean? If he has chest hair majority of the time and then he shaves it off, always give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Leave it there. Don't shave it for him. You know what I mean? But it's got the standard shoulders, butterfly joints, got the double jointed arms with the wrist tape right there, or the gauntlets. It's kind of like some tape. I bet maybe, I don't know. Anyways, it's, yeah, red and black. Got the stripes in there. Looks good. Plain crotch. I'm guessing he just wore regular red pants here. Does have the tape on the fingers there that we discussed. No tattoos or anything going on there. Nice sculpted legs. I can't tell off rip if these are brand new sculpted legs or what, but I can tell you my drop down hips are a little loose. They aren't staying in place right there, which is kind of annoying. But you go down here, no shin cut, which would have been cool, but it's just some red pants with red boots and white outsoles here and everything like that. You know, not the most over the top figure, but I think the face paint, the accessories you get really adds to it. But I do like that we have some things going on, like the wrist tape or the gauntlets look nice. I like the addition of the face paint and things like this. Now, as far as your articulation, he can look down a little bit there, which is good. He can't really look up because of the hair, obviously, but you can get a little bit of head tilting in there, and it can rotate. Of course, ab crunch, man. Ab crunch on these Ultimates isn't the greatest, but he gets a good diaphragm. You know, all this can pivot and all those different things as we've come to know. Shoulders do go a little bit above 90. These pop out if anybody cares. Maybe you could customize this guy, turn him into somebody else if you wanted to, or something like that. You get the bicep cut. You do get double jointed arms here, which are nice. Wrist hinge and swivel as always here. Again, you do get diaphragm pivoting in the torso there, and then waist is pretty tight. Drop down hips where he can kick pretty damn good, man. I mean, he can get that leg way up there, which is good there. Again, though, when you try to stand this guy flat, and it may be just because of my table or whatever, when you try to stand this guy flat, the ball joint hips right here don't necessarily stay, and they get a little loose on you there. But he can pop out here, super kick, all those different things. You got to be careful with that drop down hip. You get an upper thigh cut. You do get a pretty smooth double jointed knee. It's not perfect. It is a little tighter. Not as good as Damian Priest that we saw the other day, but it's probably a little better than the Rock Ultimate that we saw a couple days days ago. He also doesn't really have any foot articulation. He has the toe pivot here, or the toe articulation, but he doesn't have any ankle rocker or anything. You barely get a little bit of shifting, and it won't go down and up. So I guess they did not use the newer feet, which is kind of funny because I don't think Bill likes the new feet. But that is your Great Muta articulation. I mean, he moves fairly well. I just am kind of annoyed by the drop down hips, which I know has kind of been an ongoing issue for a lot of figures, man. Like, you know, sometimes the legs aren't flush the same, and then he kind of leans. You see how it leans? It does that damn Muhammad Ali thing sometimes with that I can't stand. Dude, that's one of my biggest pet peeves with WWE Mattel figures right now. But as far as your figure comparisons, I don't really have any Great Mutas to compare. However, I do have a couple comparisons we can get into. And the first one is going to be this Elite Shinsuke, and I don't know if it was his last matchup, but I'm pretty sure he did wrestle Shinsuke, which is why I want to do this comparison. And in some of the photos I saw, the gear that Shinsuke's wearing right here looks very similar to the gear he wore in the matchup with Great Muta, and that may be coincidence, or maybe they did that on purpose, but nonetheless, these figures look pretty good up next to each other. You know, Shinsuke is taller right there, so you get that comparison. But another figure I want to compare him to, who I know he wrestled, is going to be the Ultimate Edition Ric Flair, and funny enough, I'm pretty sure when they wrestled, he wore the purple gear, so this is kind of accurate there. We're going to get some photography in there with possibly both of these guys, depending on what all we can, you know, accomplish as far as the comparisons are concerned. But Great Muta, Ric Flair, and Shinsuke. I think we may have some more figures, or I may have more figures of who he's fought, you know, in his career. I'm sure I definitely do. I think he has wrestled Sting in the past, and there's probably a long list of figures that I have here, but with all these different Muta figures we're getting, I hope that we can get a Muta in white. That would be really cool. And I even saw an image on Google where Muta had the World Heavyweight Championship, like the big gold on, so I think that would be really cool if they were to release that gear in white and then include the newly sculpted World Heavyweight Championship. I think that'd be really cool. But one thing I also want to do is I want to pull the rest of Ultimate Edition Series 25 up here. Really strong wave, man. A lot better than Series 24 and 23 off the top of my head, I think. If my memory serves me correctly, probably even 22. You know, 23 had Ray, Dom, and LA Knight. I think these three collectively are better than that wave. 22 had Cena, Gunther, and Jey Uso. I think this wave is also better than that wave. 24 had Bray Wyatt, Solo Sikoa, and Finn Balor. I think that this wave collectively would also beat that one out. So, and I think even if you go to 21, where I think Series 20 is when we started getting 3 figures in a set, and that had Roman Reigns, Asuka, and Undertaker. That one would be really close because I think the Roman and Asuka are very, very good. But then you have, of course, the Undertaker, which was a re-release. But then in 21, you had Cody Rhodes, which was an amazing Ultimate, just like Asuka. But then the rest of the wave was kind of because it had Kevin Owens and it had Sami Zayn. So this may be the best 3-person Ultimate Edition wave that we've seen. So we'll have to see about all those things. But if I had to rank these, this is actually really, really, really tough here. Ah, man, this would be super tough because I really like The Rock in a lot of ways, but he's mostly just a repaint, you know what I mean? I do like the clothes you get with him, and I like the screaming expression, and I like the build of the figure. I like the cloth goods. Oh, man, this is tough. Jeez, this is tough. As far as, like, standalone figure, this guy's legs get pretty loose a little bit, too, so he kind of has, like, loose hips, tight double-jointed knees, and you know that's a terrible combination to have, so damn, if I had to rank these, and I'm gonna have to do it at the end of the year. So that shish is not gonna be easy, man. It's not gonna be easy, but I guess if I have to do it here today, as of today, I think I would go Muta in third, Rock in second, and then Damian Priest in first. But then a part of me doesn't want to do that, and a part of me wants to move Damian Priest to second because I really like the Rock figure. But this Damian Priest is pretty damn smooth. I'm going to hold it right here for now, but just know by the end of the year when we rank every Ultimate Edition that was released in 2025 from worst to best, we're going to take all of them. It doesn't matter if there's 50 of them. We're going to rank all of them from worst to best. This is how the order will go in terms of these 3, but you know you're going to have a ton of other Ultimates mingled in there, so there could be 3 or 4 in between. There could be some after. We'll have to see how everything goes, but I think all of these are very, very high quality, and it would shock me if these 3 were left out of the top 20, top 25 Ultimates of the year. Hell, they may even be top 15. But I think that all but wraps up our WWE Ultimate Edition Series 25 review of the Great Muta, man. Really enjoyed this figure. Again, I've said it many times in this video that I think a lot of care went into the crafting of this figure, you know? But if you're a Great Muta fan at the slightest, I think you can actively say that this is the best collectible or action figure of the Great Muta that's ever been created. And I know there's there's been some other companies that have tried their hand at it, but I think this would be the best one. You get the most articulation, the most details, the most accessories, the most mobility out of the entire thing. I just think this is a really good representation of the character. And I know we have more coming down the line, so maybe you want to wait on that Chase or wait on that Legends Elite or whatever the case is, but this is a fantastic representation of the character, and I think that you should add it to your collection if you're a Great Muta fan. Maybe you're an Ultimate Edition completionist. I think you'll be happy with this purchase. I don't think you're going to take this thing out of the box and be like, oh my god, what in the hell am I looking at? On the flip side, though, if we're looking at this figure all the way across, it's not perfect. I do like aspects of the figure. I like the gi, I like the gear, I like the face paint. The mist effect's really cool. I like the new signature hand. Figure feels pretty good in hand. I think his legs, like the drop-down hips, get a little bit loose, and the knee bend isn't as nice and feel good in the hand as I would like it to be, but it's not something that you can just write off completely. I don't think it's just throw it in the trash worthy, but I do want to get that out there so you guys know exactly what the hell you're purchasing here. But another big gripe of mine is the helmet. Not big on the helmet accessory or the face covering. I think that it's a bit bulky and big, and I know that's kind of difficult to capture, you know, especially when you have a removable helmet face covering like that. It's very hard not to be so bulky and big. The only thing you can really do is have an interchangeable head sculpt. That's the only thing they could have done, is give us an interchangeable head sculpt with the eyes showing right there maybe, but still nice, still cool to have. I just would prefer it without the helmet, but I know we're going to get more Great Mutas as the year goes on, and I can't wait to do some comparisons with it and everything like that, because I didn't really have anything to compare him to as far as the Great Muta is concerned. So looking forward to those other Great Muta figures that are going to drop, but that is going to wrap up my review of the Great Muta, man. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Huge shout out to our Patreon members, of course, man. And if you guys want to grab this figure again, use code MDTOYS at checkout at ringsidecollectibles.com. Always appreciate them as always, and there is a lot of fantastic stuff over there. Great deals, great selection for you over there. If you're a WWE or wrestling action figure collector, definitely get over there and use code MDTOYS. But I appreciate all of you so very much, especially the Patreon members, for their support, man. But that is pretty much going to wrap it up for me, man. Check out some of our reviews over the last couple days, man. I don't think you'll regret it. There's playlists of the Ultimate Editions and everything like that. If you guys missed reviews, go back and check those out. Like the videos, it always greatly appreciate it, and it helps out the channel a bunch. But I'm getting the hell out, man. Hope you guys did enjoy. Leave me your thoughts. I'll see you guys next time. Have a blessed one, and I'll catch you guys later.